Shalom, Kahala Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives to do so. To the scattered hopeful elect across the four corners of the earth, and those among the heathen nations that look like the heathen nations, pursuant to Jeremiah 12:9, known as the speckled birds. So this is not just a black thing. I'm a disciple of Parium, a follower of Great Millstone, coming to you with a lesson in truth and sincerity. And this is a lesson going in on Esau, Edom, but primarily looking at it from the lens of from Ephraim, from the island of Puerto Rico. We call it Borinquen. This is going into the first elected, or should I say, appointed governor of Puerto Rico after Spain gave control of the island to America, aka Babylon the Great. So this is Charles Herbert Allen, the man who stole Puerto Rico, and I'll link the article in the description. But I want to first show you this video that goes into history of one of Esau's worst people, in my opinion. And so without further ado,
1900. Charles Herbert Allen arrived in Puerto Rico like a conquistador, along with a naval cannon salute, almost like a military novel. In the rain, he marched down the streets of San Juan and right into the governor's mansion. Immediately, he got to work building allies and assessing the island for profit. One of his first acts was that he immediately increased the salaries of American politicians, using tax money that was taken from the natives of Puerto Rico that was supposed to be used for the benefit of the citizens of Puerto Rico. He then raised taxes on the people of Puerto Rico. As he began his assessment of the island, he compiled a report that he sent back to the president, and it was titled The First Report of the Governor of Puerto Rico.
The cost of sugar production is $10 per ton cheaper than in Java, $11 cheaper than in Hawaii, $12 cheaper than in Cuba, $17 than in Egypt, $19 cheaper than in the British West Indies, and $47 cheaper than in Louisiana and Texas. Molasses and rum, the incidental products of sugarcane, are themselves sufficient to pay all expenses of the sugar planters and leave the returns from his sugar as pure gain.
This was not a political report. It was a business plan for a sugar empire. Once he got the political go-ahead from the president, he brought in a company called the American Sugar Refining Company to build the largest sugar operation that the world has ever seen in Puerto Rico. With the American political machine in Puerto Rico on his side, Allen used land grants, tax subsidies, water rights, railroad easements, forced foreclosures, and forced sales, and favorable tax advantages and tariffs to aid him in his mission. Allen and the American Sugar Refining Company was able to control large parts of the population and land with these tools. By 1930, 80% of all farmland in Puerto Rico had been converted to sugar plantations owned or controlled by Allen and the American Sugar Refining Company. Allen went on to abandon his position as governor and took charge as president of the sugar refinery and changed its name to Domino Sugar. Now, as a private company, it could operate more secretively and make more money doing so. At this time, with the colonial environment in Puerto Rico, native Puerto Ricans had very little human rights. Allen and the Domino Sugar Company exploited this legal loophole to the fullest. Because of Allen's political connections, he was able to violate international laws, use violence and force to further grow the sugar business using his former position's influence, and was given free rein for whatever he wanted to do to increase Domino Sugar's profits. With a complete disregard for the Puerto Rican people, Domino Sugar caused irreparable damage to Puerto Rican society. Politicians redirected tax money to expand Domino's operations on the island and left little for public spending. At this time, 85% of children were illiterate. This deteriorated the education system and the potential of entire generations. At this time, Puerto Rico was a very diverse agricultural island. Before domino sugar's influence, they were one of the biggest producers of coffee and cigars in the world. But Allen and Domino Sugar forced landowners of competing crops to sell or give up their lands, and Puerto Rico became a single crop economy. Being a single crop economy is very dangerous economically, and it made Puerto Rico dependent on outside sources for food, a truth that still exists today. Before Domino Sugar, Puerto Rico produced almost all of its own food. As of 2020, Puerto Rico imports 85% of its food, producing just 15% of what's consumed on the island. To this day, keeping the island dependent on others for food. Before Allen and Domino Sugar, Puerto Rico had remarkably fertile land.
The yield of sugar per acre is greater than any other in the world. A large acreage of land, which are now devoted to pasturage, could be devoted to the culture of sugar cane.
By forcing an entire island to produce sugar cane, consequences have been created that exist until this day. Even Puerto Rico's land itself was negatively affected. New studies now show that continuous sugarcane planting results in soil acidification, damaging the soil's fertility and causing significantly lower yields of any other crop. Besides the soil itself, Puerto Rico's education system, its people, its society and political system has yet to recover 100%. Domino Sugar had a stronghold on Puerto Rico well into the 60s, which is not that long ago.
So, let's go ahead and get into these scriptures. Just bear with me because I got quite a bit of scriptures. So the first one I want to get into is Exodus 34 and verse 7. All right. It says, keeping the mercy for thousands, forgiving the iniquity and transgression and sin, and that will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and upon the children's children unto the third and fourth generation. This is something we bring out a lot. So this is essentially, what was done is not going to be forgiven. The Lord requireth what was done, before. And we'll get into some other scriptures that talk about that. But this is kind of proving reincarnation. You got a lot of people. Oh, but those were my grandparents, and that's not me. No, listen. The Lord requireth from that which was. Okay. So, let's go into Deuteronomy 28 and 45, and this is going to the curses. And we always have to ask. Why do we as a people, not just obviously not just Puerto Ricans, but as Israelites, as the so-called Native Americans, as the Latinos, the so-called blacks, we're under these curses because we are the true people, all right? The true Israelites. And nobody else fits these curses. All right, so we go to Deuteronomy 28 and 45. And it reads, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. Okay? So, it doesn't matter where you go, you try to move or whatever, these curses are going to follow you. And not just that, but you still have to remember the time of Jacob's trouble. Who's Jacob? That's the so-called Native Americans, the so-called Latino, the so-called Negroes, okay? Or the majority. But then you also have the speckled birds mixed in there, spoken of in Jeremiah 12 and 9. So, we suffer the things that we suffer today because of these things, right? From 15 all the way down to verse 68 in Deuteronomy 28. So now let's go to Psalms 21 and 10. And it reads, their fruit shalt thou destroy from the earth, and their seed from among the children of men. All right. For they intended evil against thee. They imagined a mischievous device, right? You got these mischievous device. Basically is going to be in the future that's coming. Is going to be the RFID. The micro C to the hip. Okay, that charagma, right? That mark. Right, in which they are not able to perform. They're not going to be able to perform to the fullest, okay? Because they're going to be confounded. So let's go to Proverbs 29. Yeah. We go to Proverbs 29. Let's see, it's lucky. 29 and verse 2. All right. So when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And, that's what's happening right now. I mean, and I know this lesson was going into Charles Herbert, but, just right now, you have over 350,000 people without electricity in the island in Puerto Rico because we have one company, Luma, right? Fucking, what are they doing with all this money? There's over $12 billion that FEMA got, so we under these curses, man. And people are like, oh, we need to separate from America and do all this stuff. No, it's not. You can't build. Okay, we're not sovereign. We have no military, nothing. All right. So until Yahweh Bashem Yahushai returns, then shall the you call this. Basically that's where the fishermen will be turned hunters. Okay. So we don't take anything into our own hands. We tried that, and especially in Puerto Rico, they tried it. With Pedro Abisu Campos and his faction, and they even went to I think it was Congress and tried to shoot it up and try to assassinate the president at the time. I can't remember his name, but yeah, it didn't work. Okay, so what makes you think it's going to work now? Okay, so let's go to Ecclesiastes 3 and 15. That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been. And Yahweh requireth that which is past, because he has ultimate vengeance, all right, the ultimate say-so. And he's going to require what these Edomites have done in the past. Best believe it. Best believe it. Let's go to Isaiah.
Come here. Oh, never mind.
Chapter 14. I'm going to go to 20 to 23. I'm going to read this in the NLT, okay? This is Isaiah 14, 20 to 23. You will not be given a proper burial, for you have destroyed your nation and slaughtered your people. The descendants of such an evil person will never again receive honor. Kill this man's children. Let them die because of their father's sins. Going back to Exodus 34 and 7. They must not rise and conquer the earth, filling the world with their cities. And, and again, that's a prophecy about Esau, is that they were the only neighbor of Israel, only nation of neighbor of Israel that would not be shown grace, okay? And they're not going to be prospering. And after that 1,000-year period, there will be no more, okay? Because they got to build up the kingdom of heaven. Let's see. Verse 22. This is what the Lord of heaven's armies said, okay? I myself have risen against Babylon. I will destroy its children and its children's children, says the Lord. Verse 23. And by the way, Babylon is still there. So this prophecy hasn't happened yet, okay? Babylon is still there in Iraq, I believe. Okay, you can see it. And those people are still around. So this is a future prophecy. I will make Babylon a desolate place of owls, filled with swamps and marshes. I will sweep the land with a broom of destruction via the ICBM missiles. All right. I, the Lord of heaven's armies, have spoken. All right. So now let's go to Jeremiah 49. Verse 9 and 10, and then I'm going to read verse 12. And it reads, if grape gatherers come to thee, would they not leave some gleaning grapes? And you see what in that video what he did. He didn't leave anything. He made it where we were growing our own fruits and vegetables, and to make it one crop for the entire nation is what they were growing. Okay. If thieves by night will destroy till they have enough. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. He's going to try to hide himself in the clefts of the rocks. But, again, the fishermen are going to be turned hunters when the word is given. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Basically, he will be destroyed. Right here, look at the NLT. And its neighbors will all be destroyed, and Edom itself will be no more. Okay. Now let's go down to verse 12. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shem El Shai, behold, those whose judgments was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. And art thou, and that's talking about these judgments, and art thou he that hath altogether go unpunished? So is he going to be unpunished? No. Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. Damn right. Habakkuk 2. I'm going to read verse 8. Because thou hast spoiled as many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. So verse 12, it reads, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establishes a city by iniquity, sin stacked upon sin. And they've done this time and time. That is why, here in Babylon the Great, that they have all their luxuries and amenities and everything, right? It's because of the backs of other countries in deals that are unrighteous, all right? They're messed up, one-sided. Now let's go to Zechariah 2 and 8. And it reads, for thus saith the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Shem El Shai of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations, which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you touches the apple of his eye. So he's talking about, those who have touched Israel, have touched the chosen Yashar Allah, he Prince Power, right, of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, of Yahweh, where the Israelites are the chosen lineage, seed, right, the apple of his eye. Now, I'm going to go to the Apocrypha, have a couple verses there, and we'll go ahead and finish it on off. So this is it's lacking. Book of Sirach, chapter 5 and 8. And it reads, set not thine heart upon goods unjustly gotten, for they shall not profit thee in the day of calamity. All right. So these goods have been unjustly gotten for Babylon. They set their hearts on them, but they don't understand that it's not going to profit them. They're trying to make themselves as gods. through this, the World Economic Forum and whatnot. But, in their devices that they're trying to make, it's not going to happen. Let's see what I have in my notes. Oh man, so these are the notes I have. I haven't seen this in a while. So Proverbs 10:2, it says, tainted wealth has no lasting value, but right living can save your life. So this is Ezekiel 7:19. They shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold should not be able to be delivered. Should not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord Yahweh Shemashai. They shall not satisfy their soul, neither fill their bowels, because it is a stumbling block of their iniquity. Man. So let's go to Sirach 25:7. It says, there be 9 things which I have judged in mine heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that hath joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. And that is going to be, Lord willing, if we're a part of that. Obviously we shouldn't try to wish upon that, but if we're a part of that, if we're in that day, and we haven't been killed yet or whatever, then that would be a beautiful sight. Like me, I had to take a pause on that one. So let's go to finish it off with 2nd Esdras 6:28. And it reads, as for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth which hath been so long without fruit shall be declared. And that's going to happen. This is not about, getting vengeance, as vocab said. This is about putting the truth out there, it being rightfully divided. Okay. And with that said, I pray this lesson was edifying. On to the flock. Kwam Yashar Allah. Shalom, and on to the next.